Welcome to Beyond the Stripes, and I'm
Yeah,
delighted to say we're joined by your new favourite fighter, Aiden The Future Ingram. Aiden, how are you doing today, my friend?
good brother. Thank you for having me on the show. Awesome.
You are very, very welcome. And I have to say, we've had a really great time watching your pro fights. They're absolutely action-packed. When you're in the
Mm.
cage, are you looking to entertain the crowd, or does it just happen because of the way you fight?
Man, I've always been well, thank you for watching my fights first. I've always been the type to be the entertainer, no matter what I'm doing, whether I was wrestling in high school or doing my amateur fights. I always didn't want to be that boring fighter. I know you know what it's like to watch a fight, watch a good fight, and then the next fight is just a stinker. And then I'm like, man, I've been to live UFC events, and I'm like, dude, I can't believe I paid to see this happen. So never wanted to have that in the back of my head. I mean, you win, you lose, it happens, right? But I always had that innate like mental like click to just to be like an entertainer, just to let things fly. So
Yeah, I think the fans can be pretty much guaranteed that when they buy a ticket to watch you, they're going to be entertained. They just have to
yeah.
get some popcorn and stuff before your fight because they enjoy it more with the popcorn.
No, I appreciate it. Excuse me.
And
Yeah, it's weird.
I was going to say we've really noticed that you're the king of submissions. So throughout your amateur career, in your pro career, is it something that you just feel so confident when it goes down to the ground?
You know what? That's really not how I want my fights to play out. I like to stand and bang. I would like to spend a little bit more time on the feet, but for some reason when things start flying around, then people don't want to be about that. So early on in my amateur career, I had to understand that since I do like to fight, like actually fight and throw some hands and throw some bombs at people, that it's gonna there's gonna come a time, if not every fight, where people just don't want to be a part of that. So they're gonna try to take me down. They're gonna try to smother that pressure, and so I had to kind of have a trap card for them.
And it was
So
a good
yeah,
trap card, very good trap card. I think was it a few guillotine chokes as well.
yeah, I think I'm on my third or fourth going back to my amateur career. But man, even in high school wrestling, I was using the guillotine, like an Armin guillotine slash like anaconda variation, to use it for pins and takedown defense. So it's always been a part of my arsenal. And every time it's like even when I missed the guillotine in training and practice, even in fights, it wasn't a thing that I deterred away from. It was like, all right, how can I get it more refined so
Mm.
it's not people don't get out of it. So yeah, do not want to go to the ground most fights, but it just happens that way. So yeah.
Yeah, awesome. And we've been on your social media as well, and we've noticed there's a certain person that's appeared a few times, and they're one of my all-time favorite fighters. He's a guy who's
Mm.
also really great to watch, and that's TJ Dillashaw. How
Oh
much
yeah.
of an influence has TJ been on you?
Man, I just got in a freaking YouTube argument over TJ, which I shouldn't have. I just, I take it personally sometimes, but TJ and his team at the training lab when I first came over there about 2 years ago have really taken my game and my mental state as a fighter and as a man, and they've blew it up. Like I really give credit to not just TJ but other coaches around, like him and Mark Munoz, people like Juan Archuleta, those guys. And they noticed that me and my best friend Ian Miller were pretty devoted to the craft, and so they kind of took us under their wing in a way and beat us up until we couldn't take it, and we kept showing up to practice. So it really was it really was a levels type thing where we understood, like, okay, these guys at the highest level are performing in this way in practice. So it was an eye opener, and it was we had to get with the program, or we just kind of didn't grow. So I took it to the former.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, he is truly inspirational, and I think, like you say, you can't help but be inspired when you see what these guys do.
Mhm.
Yeah, absolutely. And going right back to the start, where
Mhm.
did you originally grow up, and how did you get into combat sports?
Okay, so I started MMA. Well, I started going to the MMA lab out here in Arizona when I was 14. I was going into high school, so it was like the summer before high school. I used to get beat up as a kid, bullied a lot, whatever, normal stuff. And but for me, I always got into fights like growing up. Like from kindergarten up. Like it wasn't maliciously, but it was like we're playing Power Rangers, but we're really beating the crap out of each other as like 5 year olds. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like I remember playing Dragon Ball Z, and me and my best friend would come back to, third grade class and we got bloody nose and beaten and we like dab it up and we're like, hey, good game, good game. And then we show up to class and we're all beat up and our teacher's like, what the heck? And we're not mad at each other or anything. So I always was fighting in some sort way, shape, or form. And then when I started my first jujitsu class at the MMA lab when I was 14, it almost seemed like it was a piece of the puzzle that kind of fit in to my life. Like I was like, oh, this is exactly what I need because I've always been that angsty, wild child in a sense. I wasn't a bad kid. I was jumping all over the walls. I just had so much energy. So yeah, I started at the MMA lab under John Crouch and Benson Henderson. And I stayed with those guys for about 8, 9 years and had to break off and do my own thing. But I credit a lot of my growth and development and learning MMA and basics and just everything, just fundamental IQ in the fight
Mm.
to Benson and John Crouch. You know what I'm saying? I know that I'm not with those guys anymore, but I will always till I'm UFC champ and whatever, I'll give those guys the credit that they deserve. And they really they made me the person I am today. So for sure, I love those guys.
That's really awesome. It is. And I mean, I grew up on Power Rangers as well. Who is your favorite Power Ranger?
We always fought about who the Green Ranger was. So it was not only a fight to be in the Power Rangers game, but it was a fight to see who certain Power Rangers was. Everyone, we had like 5, 6 kids that want to be a Green Ranger, so I had to stake my claim to him.
Awesome. Yeah, when I grew up, I think it was Tommy. Tommy was a green Power Ranger.
Mhm. Yep,
Um,
exactly.
yeah,
And
awesome.
he was throughout the series the whole time.
He was. Yeah, he was. It was so sad. I saw the news recently that he'd passed away. It was really one of those things that you kind of see it, and it's like a part of your childhood, isn't it? So yeah, he
Yeah.
definitely influenced me as well. And probably it's one of these reasons why you speak to loads of people and you don't really know why you got into MMA and you love fighting and stuff.
Mhm.
But you think about what you watched as a kid, and like, Power Rangers was massive. I had all the action figures and everything, so it kind of just
Yeah.
evolves from that, I think. So hugely
Yeah.
influential. Yeah.
We all wanted to be a Power Ranger when we were kids, huh?
And can you remember the first MMA fight you watched?
That I watched ever, man.
Mm.
I so there's two instances where I saw MMA and I thought that's weird and I turned it off and never saw it again for years. So when I was in fourth grade, I was literally me and my uncle were in my room. We were flipping through the channels and the Ultimate Fighter was on, like the first Ultimate Fighter. And my uncle's like, "Hey, you got to watch this. It's so cool." And I'm like, "These guys are like put on cartoons, man. Like this is weird." I'm in fifth grade and didn't like it, so I never saw it again for years. When I met my stepdad Eugene again, it was late at night and Best of Pride was on, and I saw some pretty gnarly violence. I saw Rampage, I saw Vanderlei, so it was Rampage and Vanderlei too when Rampage went through the ropes.
Mhm.
Um, and I was like, bro, and my dad was like, that dude went to the hospital, but then he was like, listen, he came back in the UFC, and I was like, but then we gotta watch it. And so when YouTube was just starting out, so we looked it up on YouTube. So Rampage and Vanderlei 2, Best of Pride was like the first time that I was like, whoa. And I wasn't even into MMA at the time. We were just kind of fans. So yeah.
That's
What
awesome.
a what a fight to get started on.
I know that's it. Yeah, incredible. And some of these, like I've gone back and watched a lot of the old fights, and I like reading all of the early stuff. I'm reading Ken Shamrock's autobiography at the moment, and
Oh man.
see like early Pride stuff and early UFC stuff is just absolutely wild. It's like the Wild West
Mhm.
stuff, but
Yeah.
you can't stop watching it. It's so much fun.
Yeah. It's fun to dive into those rabbit holes too. Like you get in the history of it all and especially Ken is the younger brother, right? And he was
It's
the
Ken and well, the whole Shamrock is part of Bob Shamrock, who adopted loads of kids. So there's like loads of Shamrocks that fight.
yeah.
Yeah, I'll send you a link to the book. It's really brilliant. If you like MMA history, it's great.
Oh man, I love it. But yeah, definitely a pioneer in MMA, right? Ken.
Absolutely, yeah, absolute legend. And we love fighter nicknames, and you've got a brilliant one, The Future.
Mhm.
How did you
Thank
get
you.
that nickname?
Yeah. I was making my own character on UFC 3 Undisputed, and the good one, not the EA one.
Yeah.
Um and back then they were pretty cool because the majority of the nicknames were locked. So you had to like do achievements in your career mode to unlock these cool nicknames for your own character. And it was real. I was like 15, and I was like, man, I was making my own character, and I was like, let me try to choose my own nickname. Like, let me try to make something cool happen. And the first one was like the prototype. The second one was like the saint. Like, and so when I saw the future and it just unlocked in one of the achievements that I hit in the career mode, it really just stuck. Like I was like, because I wanted to have a nickname that showed that I was the next
Hmm.
kind of guy coming up. Even though I was like 14, 15, I wanted to show that I was like the youngin coming up. And the future really just hit. And I was like, wow. So I told my parents, my mom wanted me to be the Filipino sledgehammer or something. And I was like, it sounds a little too 2005s or whatever. But the future really stuck, and people at the lab just started calling me future. So really stuck.
It's a really great one. I'm trying to think on those games. I always tend. I think there's one called the Professional. I'm always a
Yeah.
professional on it. Um,
Yeah, the professional, the gentleman.
yeah, that's it. That's it. Yeah, the professional and gentleman. I'm like my character's this like British guy who'll beat you up, but then be really nice to you afterwards.
Yeah, I like that. They need to bring those back, man.
They do, yeah, absolutely. And so we've got a hypothetical question for you. So this is a bit of a
Okay.
random one, and it's a zombie apocalypse, and you need to
Mhm.
escape a city crawling with the undead. Which one fighter would you team up with?
Man, probably my two top picks would probably be like Justin Gaethje because he's gonna be there to ride or die with you, right? Like he's all for the violence. But I mean, if you look on Jon Jones' social media, that guy's ready for the zombie apocalypse for sure. Like he's training dogs. He's got all the AR-15s and the van and everything. So I'm like, no, I hate to say it, right? Like I don't know if I want to hang out with him, but if we've got the zombie apocalypse going, I know Jon Jones got a good compound.
He's probably one of these people who's got like an underground area already built just in case. Just
No, for
in case.
sure, for sure. Like
But
his
I've
social media
thought
is all about that stuff.
it's definitely, and I have thought about it, and I thought Jon Jones is one of my answers, but then I'd be terrified if he got bit by a zombie and became one because I think that's
Oh yeah. You got a zombie throwing oblique kicks and spinning hook kicks at you, then you're in trouble, bro.
brilliant answer. Honestly, it's been great catching up with you. It really has. Got a couple more questions.
Yeah,
So,
for sure.
first one is when can we see you back in the cage?
Hopefully sometime in mid to late February. Me and my manager and I have a lot of aspirations of at least talking to the UFC by the end of this year. I'm making that mental switch of it's UFC or bust this year. It's no nod to anybody else, but I got to make this thing happen. And I've done this for 12 years. So really expect to, knock on wood, really expect to see me at least fight 3 to 4 times this year and starting February. And that's when this campaign of Broken Dreams starts happening. So hopefully the start of February or mid-February on the rest of the year, I'll be full-fledged violence.
Awesome. Well, we can't wait to see it. And then final question is what do you want to achieve in the next few years? So obviously going to the UFC, and then if you get to the UFC, what's kind of the next like 3 to 5 year goal?
So I always put myself into the short term, midterm, and long term goals of my life, and then career goals and family goals and whatnot. Obviously the short-term goal right now is to win the next fight. Whatever fight I get, win the next fight. Midterm goal, which is like from the next year to 2 years, get in the UFC, and then at least get a UFC bonus. Like I need to I need to do something to catch Dana's attention and do something crazy. And then in the next 3 to 5 years, I want to be in the top 15 at least, and really start. I was talking to my friends, and I was like, man, like there should be no reason when if I'm fighting the way I'm fighting right now, me in 10 fights. So say me in 10 fights. Like there should be no reason that I don't have my own fight night main event. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So that's a real big dream of mine. But so I'd say 3 to 5 years, you'd see me in the top 15. You'll see me have at least one or two fight night main events. I always come to put on a show. And no, not anything, but if like Aspen Ladd and Norma Dumont can have their own main event, I can absolutely have my own main event. Come on now, you
Yeah.
know. So that answers your question. 3 to 5 years, top 15 to top 10, a couple main events in my cap, and we're chasing a belt.
Yeah, and honestly, keep fighting the way you're fighting, and those Dana will definitely be paying you fight of the night bonuses.
Yes, sir. No, I appreciate it. Thank you.
Well, it's been great catching up with you. We'll be supporting you from London whenever you're fighting, so going to be
Mm.
following your career and hopefully speak soon.
Thank you so much, bro. Thank you for having me. This is an awesome show. Make sure you guys watch the show, and I'll catch up with you guys later.